Your uni, your team. From kick-off to the final whistle. This is the Shock Radio Sports Show.
Hello and welcome back to your weekly sports show on Shock. I'm Will. I'm joined by Corey and Josh. How are we doing, lads? You alright?
I'm good, thank you. I'm making my Shock Sport debut.
Yes, debut. Hopefully we're getting a bigger pay rise.
Hopefully.
How's it going, Josh? You alright, lad?
Always a pleasure, mate. Looking forward to talking sports again.
Good, that's what we like to hear. We're doing the usual, but there'll be no Salford this week. A bit of foreshadowing. Storm, Burt called their game off, which is a terrible name for a Storm, but I don't mean to get distracted. Salford's game was called off against Bromley. We'll get to that, though. We'll be covering Manchester United, Manchester City. Ooh, not going great for City at the minute.
No, not at the moment, really. They've been having one of the worst trends I think they've had in years.
Yes, and then we'll cover England women. And if we've got enough time, we'll touch on the Formula One, because the world champ was crowned this week. But we'll start with United, shall we? New manager. They played Ipswich on Sunday. Go on, tell us about it, Corey.
Well, first 20 minutes. We've been here before with United. New manager, bounce. People like Rashford pick up form, purple patches hit, and they seem to always get top four and win a trophy. But I don't think it's going to be the same under Amorim. I think first 20 minutes they look great. I thought, to be honest, they'd land up with a back four when I looked at it before. Didn't expect Diallo at right wing back.
No, because it was an odd lineup, an odd selection choice considering the players they had available. A few injuries, but the bench was stronger than the actual 11.
Yeah, exactly. I think first 20 minutes they were great, and then sort of slipped back into more of a back five. Ipswich kind of had him under the cosh. Liam Delap was bullying people left, right and centre, sent Mazraoui through the sand. Mazraoui, by the way, what a player. Thank
you. I'm a United fan. He's unbelievable. He's so technical. But, Josh, is it fair to say that Ipswich were better than United technically and had a better game plan that McKenna set them out with?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think we've saw a different formation this time. He's opted for 3-4-3. You know, he tends to like to play more attacking football, leaving less defenders towards the back. And to be honest, I don't think United have many defending options other than what they really played there, because Martinez is injured and, well, Mazraoui, as you say, is fantastic.
Martinez and Maguire were both back in training today.
Of course. So without them, really, there isn't many options left. But I did like the players that he used. I maybe thought Garnacho wasn't the best decision, because I think right now he needs to spend a little bit more time on the bench after what I'd argue some more selfish performances, maybe not being as much of a team player, but we see this with relegation clubs all the time. Ipswich are just putting in as much effort as they can every single game. They saw an opportunity where United were looking a little bit weaker than usual, and they took it and ran with it. So it's a well-earned point for them. I would say they're the better team.
Yeah, I think a well-earned points for Shock's very own Adam Skin, who is our resident Ipswich fan, always in an Ipswich shirt. He was pleased with the point, and he said the same as you lot, really, discussing it. So United have got Europa League game on Thursday against Bodo Glimt. I'll be there, and then at home against Everton on Sunday. A couple of tricky fixtures coming up in the busy Christmas period. We've got Arsenal, who aren't in great form, but this new system that Amorim told himself, it'll be short-term pain for a long-term gain, hopefully this time next year. Do you think it'll work, Corey?
Long-term, yeah. I think at the minute they've not got the players for it at all. I fear for Garnacho, Bruno Fernandes I'm scared for, Rashford long-term I'm scared for. I think Højlund could benefit, but I think there's more players that will see a negative off the back of the formation change than positive, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think the game? Should we talk about the games against Everton and Arsenal? They're two big league fixtures coming up. Everton, a couple of years now, been in different form, and Arsenal the same really after challenging for 2 league titles. Do you think those games are going to be a bit of a challenge, a bit of a issue for Amorim?
They bring 2 different issues for Amorim. Everton will go direct. They'll challenge that back three. If Martinez does come back into that lineup, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will definitely be standing on him. But De Ligt in the middle of a back three, or Maguire, whoever plays in there, you'd like to think they'd be able to aerially dominate. I think Calvert-Lewin, he used to have a bit of bully about him. I don't think he has that anymore.
Yeah. Perfect. Should we move on to Manchester City? Well, it's not been great for them, has it, Josh? Go on, fill us in.
Well, of course, I said you said this in the sports show last week about the game with Tottenham. Of course, we had a mix of opinions, really. I think you and Tyler were on the side of the bench where you said it's got a draw written all over it, I remember you saying.
I thought at 3-0 up, Tottenham would still draw that game. I thought that game had 3-3 still written all over it.
Well, not to claim credit, but I think I was the only person who said, I think Tottenham's going to run away with this one and City's going to get a real shock. And to be honest, I didn't expect it to be such a shock. 4-0 loss, just Pep Guardiola with his head in his hands the entire time. Yeah, it was a really disappointing performance. 4 losses in a row now. And
Five losses.
5 losses, that's what. Yeah.
And then played last night as well, so it's 6 games without a win.
Champions League. They are the first team in the Champions League history to not win a match after leading for 75 minutes. So that's really quite something to say, considering it's Pep Guardiola's City as well.
Yes, it is. Did you watch the game last night?
I did, yeah.
Go on, tell us what the issues were, because they were 3-0 up, obviously, and I've only seen the highlights.
It's going beyond Rodri now. I think at first everyone chalked it up as a Rodri issue. Rodri's out. They'd lose games previously when Rodri was out, but when you chuck De Bruyne on top of it, when you add in that they've lost Mahrez, Gundogan's not come back the same player that he left, I just think all of it's stacking up at the wrong time and it's utterly collapsing for them.
Would it be fair to say that they've settled on a squad that has obvious talent and they've become a bit comfortable? Because that squad's an ageing squad, is it not, Josh?
Absolutely, and I would, not to draw Liverpool into this, but I'd say very much the same thing. We saw a couple of years ago, I believe it was 22-23, where Liverpool really dropped off form because they were an ageing squad and we needed a change at that point, which was brought. I think it's the same case for Manchester City. I think they're having a really off period because they're sticking to what has always worked for them for years, and I think other teams are really starting to catch on to that now, and especially in a time like this where the confidence is knocked. They're not used to losing so many games in a row. Teams like Feyenoord are catching on to this, Premier League clubs as well, and they're able to just capitalise and draw City further into the dirt. So a change really needs to come, and I think a lot more young players need to be given an opportunity maybe to mitigate it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is an ageing squad, and I think he is bedding in young players, but there's no young player that stands out with real quality like Phil Foden did a couple of years ago, and I think that's someone that they're lacking. Phil Foden's not really took a step up this year as many was expected to. Corey, you said about it's become more of a Rodri issue. What is the issue then? I'm going to ask you both. What is Manchester City's issue at the minute? Is it injuries? Because injuries can ruin form. Is it an ageing squad, or is it something else? Because personally, I think their plan A is so good, they don't have a plan B. You look at the sale of Alvarez in the summer. They sold him for brilliant money, but not a great sale tactically. And you look at, they've got one injury to Rodri. There's no replacement there. No replacement at all. Go on.
I put it down to 3 things. I think, 1, injuries have absolutely plagued them. De Bruyne being out at key moments. Rodri obviously out for the season. I think if Rodri was back within the next couple of months, they could perhaps go on a second half of the season run as we know they do, and then bring it back and potentially challenge again. But I think it's gone. They've lost fear. They used to beat teams in the tunnel. Before you even came out at the Etihad, teams would already playing back 5s, midfield 4s. Like, nobody wanted to get at them.
Well, they go into this game at the weekend against Liverpool as not the favourites, and that is the first time in a long time they're not the favourites to win a game.
No one's scared of them anymore. And then I think that combines with the third thing. I think the quality of the league in general has just flown up. Teams like West Ham have people like Kudus and like Iraola at Bournemouth. I think the quality of the league's sort of catching them up a little bit. And I think that takes the fear out of it. Nobody's scared going to the Etihad anymore because they know that they can get at them.
Go on, Josh. What do you think is the issue?
No, I totally agree with that last point of how the league has just soared in quality. I think especially this season it's been brilliant. I mean, look at Brentford. Who really saw Brentford doing so well, like Brian Mbeumo and other players like
Thomas
Wissar?
Frank is doing at Brentford and I'd say Iraola as well at Bournemouth, really quite exciting. The first couple of years gone a little bit more direct, and then now, once they've got a foothold in the league, starting to establish a nice style of play that is turning over teams quickly. And we've seen it. Bournemouth beat City.
Absolutely. No, I think, yeah, definitely City is a combination of an ageing squad that, again, doesn't really have a solution because they have a lot of young players, but a lot of the main prospects they've sold on. I mean, I still think selling Cole Palmer a couple of years ago was a mistake to Chelsea.
That's
Again,
like a really silly decision with
Oh,
the way Cole
yeah.
Palmer's playing.
I kind of understand Guardiola's perspective in it, but it's really just not paid off. And again, with Alvarez, one of the best strikers I thought in the Prem at the time, just never given the opportunity. And yeah, in this case, there's a lot of smaller teams that are really rising up. I mean, I believe that the gap to City and Liverpool is the same to City and West Ham, and they sit 14th in the table, both a gap of 8 points. That in itself is a testimony to just how competitive the league is at the moment.
Yes, it is 8 points. And yeah, as Corey said, the quality in the league has risen over the past. It seems to be like this summer and last year, just out of nowhere. Because like that Bournemouth team has got some really nice players in there. Like Kirkhead's playing left back, and Fulham are the same. They've got like Andres Pereira picked him up from United. He's not a United level player, but he's a quality player and has shown it. And Fulham are a great example because they replaced who was their striker?
Mitrovic.
That's the one who bagged for them with Jimenez, and for cheap off Wolves, weakening a rival. And Jimenez hasn't been good for them, but he's a good option to have.
I still always go back to Nottingham Forest as well. I mean, they're the pinnacle example, really. I mean, look at how Chris Wood has performed this entire season.
Excellent.
He has been fantastic.
Chris Wood's been saving my FPL along with Danny Welbeck.
What a squad! Considering as well they're not really the most show-stopping set of players, and obviously they're managed by Nuno, who's quite a controversial manager in his own right after his spell at Tottenham and in Saudi Arabia. It just shows really that there's not much separating any of the teams at the moment. Even the absolute top clubs like your Arsenal, Liverpool, City, Spurs. Just it's a really good season for football in my opinion.
We'll get back to the point on the quality in the league because I think it's really an interesting point. But City are away at Liverpool, as we've said. Josh's got a massive grin on his face, big Liverpool fan.
I cannot wait.
What do you think that game has in store? Because City haven't won in 6, and I don't mean to quote a meme, but can't get any worse, can it? It can. Can it get worse for them?
It really can. I think Liverpool are on top of the world at the moment because we've brought in this new manager, Arne Slot, who I don't think many people really knew about from his time at Feyenoord beforehand, and he's just absolutely exploded. And I'm not trying to hype up Liverpool too much because I think we do see this a lot with new managers. We saw it with, Ten Hag in his first season. We saw it with, I'm using United examples, but Ollie as well had around about a similar good start to the season as Slot has. So I think that this is a crucial game for City, and they always do turn up at Anfield, no doubt. But the atmosphere at Liverpool I've not seen the like since probably before COVID. We've really just been re-energised ever since the troubles that we've had, after winning the league and winning the Champions League. So it'll be a tight game, but I think I have faith in Liverpool that we're going to be able to beat City, and I think if City do lose, that's going to be a real chink in the armour.
Corey, go on. What are your thoughts on that game on Sunday?
I think because you're emotionally invested and probably a bit nervy over previous meetings with City, you're downplaying. I think Liverpool will run over Man City. I think they'll batter them. I can't see a way that City get anything out of the game at all. I think it'll be 3-4, 5-0 again. Like
nil as well.
Yeah, I just can't see it. I can't see where the goals come from. Liverpool's back line, Konate's arguably been better than Van Dijk. It's like when people were saying Gabriel's better than Saliba. They're both very, very good.
Complement each other nicely.
Exactly.
They've got their own qualities, 100%, and we've seen that with defensive pairs over the years anyway. Real Madrid had plenty anyway. But no, I really don't want to jump into, we're going to absolutely smash City. It's going to be a mint Sunday.
I'm going to push you then. Go on, give us a score prediction.
Score prediction. Oh man. I'm going to say probably 3-1. I think
3-1 Liverpool.
Liverpool love a 3-1 result. Let's be honest.
Corey?
I'll go. I'll give them 5-1.
5-1.
I think they'll run them over. The midfield battle, they'll absolutely run them over. People like Kovacic won't keep up with Gravenberch.
I don't know the way the game's going to go because I don't think City can carry on losing. But the way Liverpool are playing, I think they're playing really well. So I'm going to predict a draw again, and I predicted a draw last week.
Oh, come
on.
on.
Look where that turned out. I think it's got 2-2 written all over it.
You're going to have some hair on your chest with your prediction.
Sitting on the fence.
I will sit on the fence. I think 2-2 because that City team's got goals in them, and the Liverpool team has obviously got goals in them. But I think both teams you can exploit, and we've seen that. We've seen that with both of them. I think that's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. But I just think that probably Liverpool will slightly edge City out because their bench is like fantastic. I mean, I feel like Wataru Endo always gets forgotten about, but we've got two fantastic CDMs. Conor Bradley as well would be fantastic for Trent. I know Trent can't defend maybe the best that he could.
Conor Bradley was excellent on loan at Bolton.
Oh, he's fantastic.
My friends who were Bolton supporters raved about him and were really sad when both him and James Trafford left on the loan. But quickly, I'm going to push you. We talked about the quality in the league and the excellent quality in the league. Who's got the best squad, the best 22, 23 that they can rotate, and who's got the worst?
Is this when everyone's fit?
Yeah, everyone's fit because we're all in agreement that the quality of the league has really come up, and there are a lot of squads that are underperforming their like level of squad. Like look at West Ham, they've got Paqueta, they've got Kudus, two excellent midfielders, and West Ham sit 14th, 13th, 8 points off Manchester City, 16 off the top.
Yeah.
So who's got the best squad and who's got the worst in the league?
I think Arsenal have the best. In terms of depth, I think where City were at 2, 3, 4 years ago, where they had 2 players for every position that could slot in and be completely fine. I think Arsenal are kind of at that now.
But is Arsenal's of the quality? Because I'd say they've got depth. They've got depth. They've got 8 players to play across that back 4. So they've got 2 for each position, really, haven't they?
I don't think they've got... City had world-class players who would make Team of the Years. I don't think Arsenal have that yet. But they've got people who could go on to do that. Saka could do that once Salah sort of wanes a bit. I think the depth is enough. I don't think the Premier League, other than like Erling Haaland, Van Dijk, Salah, I don't think they have any like standout players anymore. City used to be littered with them. I don't think we've got as many like world superstars as we did 3 or 4 years ago. So I think the depth is enough to probably give it to Arsenal.
Worse?
Oh God, worse. Got Leicester.
Leicester. I think I agree with you.
100%.
Deckard over Reed and Ayew is not getting you out of any kind of Premier League relegation fight.
Best squad, Josh, if you're agreeing with Leicester? It's the worst.
Yeah, Leicester's definitely the worst. I mean,
could have not pushed Chelsea with it's not there yet.
You know what? Yeah, I'd make an argument for Chelsea, actually. It's funny you say that because I think their attackers are just absolutely fantastic. And I think the key issue with Chelsea in the first place was they looked weak because they were vastly different players, all with their own egos, I think, in their own right.
They've not ripened yet. That squad still hasn't ripened.
Well, look at them. They're third in the league.
They're playing some nice stuff. Romeo Lavia has been excellent. He's been a real standout. Paired alongside Caicedo, they've been great, and they've got that rotation as well. They can chuck Enzo Fernandez in there. Crazy to have like £120 million player on your bench, but they can also play Cole Palmer, who has been mint.
I think Nicholas Jackson as well needs a little bit more credit. You know, probably one of the most hated on players in the league. Yet look at how often he's making it onto that score sheet and he's creating those chances. I mean, all the Chelsea players are finally starting to gel together, despite the fact that they've come from all across of Europe and beyond. And yeah, just on that midfield as well. I mean, we saw Caicedo, how good he was with Brighton just a couple of years ago. The same with Lavia, with Southampton. And I think Enzo Fernandez just completes that. Again, a player that I think gets way too much discredit because of the price tag he was on, but he's really crucial to that team.
Perfect. Right. We've covered Manchester City and Manchester United. We'll be back after a bit of music. And welcome back to the Sports Show. If you've missed us, where have you been? Where have you been? You've just missed, Manchester City and Manchester United, as we've just covered. The terrible form of both Manchester clubs, which is a rare phrase. But there is another big team. I say big team. There is another team, a local team to our heart, Salford City. Salford didn't play at the weekend, which was a real shame because I enjoy watching Salford. They play some nice football. They've got some good footballers. Kelly Namai, really standout player. But Storm Burt got in the way of them. They were meant to play Bromley at home, but the pitch was rained off. I don't know what to say about a rained off pitch in League Two. I think it's a bit of a calamity, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of what you hear in non-league really. But to be fair, I think Salford as a area just got completely battered by Storm Burt. I mean, I don't know if you saw Media City as well, all the rubbish that was in the canal.
You're a staunch short wearer, Josh, and you had jeans on. That's how cold it was. That's how wet it was.
Oh, honestly, I'm always in shorts, and I mean, I'm rocking jeans today to look professional, but no, I had to unfortunately forfeit to jeans. But no, Yeah, I think it could have been a really good win as well for Salford. I know they've been inconsistent this season, but Bromley is a team that is, struggling really to stay up. Still a relatively fresh club.
Salford are 15th. The last 5 games have been 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. They played Cheltenham, who just won above them in 14th on the same amount of points, same goal difference, same everything really. What do you want out of that game, Corey?
A big performance, a big result, but I think in League Two, I would say they need to go out there and they need to blow them away. But in League Two, I think it's just, in the lower leagues in general, I think it's just about the results at the end of the day. I think you need a strong manager, a good spine, and just to get up and out into the league above. The style of playing that can come later.
Just a bit of consistency then, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Salford, I think Salford lack goals. Carl Robinson, who, as we've said previously, speaks very well, and we're very happy that he gives Shock the time of day with some of the interviews that he's done. And he consistently says there's no goals in the team, or there's a lack of. And Killian Kwasi has 2 goals this whole season. Do you think in January that's a priority for him? A striker?
100%. I think a couple signings need to be made, but definitely to their attackers, because you look at Salford, they've been one of the teams, I believe, that scored the least amount of goals the entire season. And again, that's lending to their inconsistencies. I mean,
they've scored 15 all season, which isn't great. They've played 16 and scored 15. So that's obviously the clear problem, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, 100%. And in a game, in a league like League Two, you need to have prolific attackers that can, and I think they bring the energy, but they just can't seem to create that finishing product. But it's really promising, Salford City at the moment. I think Carl Robinson's a fantastic manager, and January is going to be a crucial time for them to make some key signings, get a couple loan players, and see what they can do. Really, maybe even try for the playoffs to get to League One, or at least get close to it.
Yes, we'll be keeping a close eye on that game in the FA Cup. Hopefully Salford can progress to the 3rd round, because real chance of some good money there. Big team coming to Salford's ground, and Salford's ground isn't the biggest. It'll certainly help them, and hopefully that'll push them on a few more goals, and they can push towards promotion, because that would be brilliant, especially for us, because we can cover it. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
But shall we move on to England women, who haven't played? I thought they had this week mistakenly, but they play on Saturday against the USA, and Shock's very own Jodie Keane was there at the press conference. This is Gabby George speaking about her ACL comeback.
You mentioned earlier about that you're really, really enjoying your football again. Do you take that as a real silver lining of your recovery, that it's really sort of made you fall back in love with the game again?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've said it before in an interview. I played my first minutes back for the under-21s, and at the time I was a bit like, oh, is it going to benefit me? And honestly, it benefited me more than anything. Housing my rehab, I enjoyed the game, and I was playing with freedom, and it made me realise, like, this is why I play football, and this is what I want to do, and it pushed me on and spurred me on, and the team was amazing, the staff and everyone that was involved. So yeah, I'm very thankful to them.
That was Gabby George talking about her ACL injury. Manchester United football just come back and is back in the England squad. What do we want to see from England women against the USA? It is only a friendly, but the USA are arguably the highest caliber women's national team going. They've had countless success in World Cups. What do you want from Corey?
I think these international breaks, when it's friendlies, a lot of people aren't interested in general, but I think they're a good place to bring through, and we saw it with the Ikazi with the men's, that they're a good platform for under-21s players to perhaps come up, and players from the youth teams or people making debuts. I think that's the main thing for these international breaks, especially against America, who, in the women's side of things, are world class.
They're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to American sport, really. It batters the rest of the world with the funding that they have, and it's been shown with the success that they've had, isn't it?
Exactly. So you just want to see under-21s players who perhaps don't get minutes in the first team regularly. You want to see them come in, put in a good shift, and pick up a few caps along the way.
Yeah. I'd like to say that friendlies are about experimenting, picking players that haven't had a debut yet. And Jodie interviewed Laura Blindkilled Brown and Ruby Mace, who are both receiving their first call up, in the interview, and here is what they had to say.
ups, but is it nice to know that you have each other coming into this senior environment and you can really, you're nodding, Laura, is it nice that you can sort of lean on each other and you've got that shared experience of playing for the under-23s together and you can really kind of lean on each other during this experience?
Yeah, I think, well, we've been basically through the whole pathway together, so it's definitely nice to have Ruse here. And like we've played in tournaments before, we played in the under-19s Euros, so we've gone through a lot of emotions together as well. But yeah, we have a really close bond, so it's nice to be here together.
Perfect. Is our friendlies about experimenting then? Is that what Serena Wiegmann has got to do to sort of thin the herd with her squad, know what she wants for the next upcoming tournament, Josh?
Absolutely. Well, this is the last couple friendlies really of the entire year, so you always want to finish off on a high, and like you say, in a game like this against the US, you know, such a high caliber squad, it's really crucial. So it's just a good time to experiment, as you say, a good time to use a lot of the younger players who are coming through that maybe haven't been given the opportunity before, and it gives the whole national team a better idea of where they stand next year, and you know what options do they actually have going into the next couple of years.
Yes. England play on Saturday at Wembley, and you can catch that, I imagine, on Channel 4. That's where the women's football is normally shown. But this has been Shock Sport, and we'll be back after this song. Right, welcome back. This is Shock Sport, and with Corey and Josh, we've done Manchester City, Manchester United, Salford. Well, we're rained off if you've missed it. So get listening. Get listening. 6 till 7. Get there before. Do you know what? Get there at 4. Listen to Adam and Alex on drive time, and then listen to us. Right? That's what you need to do with your Wednesday evening. But we've covered football around here. Should we do the F1 because Josh is just big smile again.
Yes.
Yes. It didn't conclude, but the Drivers' Championship concluded in Las Vegas. I got up at 5:30 in the morning to watch it, and that was not fun. But the race was good. Max finished 5th, won the championship, all wrapped up. The Constructors is still to play. Did you watch the race, any of it?
I did. I did not get up really early. Unfortunately, I wasn't.
Johnny come lately, honestly.
What?
Honestly.
I'm sorry, right? I just, the morning doesn't really work very well for me. So after I'd stayed away from social media and I watched through the race. I'm not the biggest fan ever of Las Vegas as a track, but I thought it produced a very good race and a result I'm happy with. I think, it was very clear that Verstappen was going to win the championship from day one. I don't agree with people who thought Norris realistically had a chance. I think
Norris had a faster car.
Yes.
Corey, do you follow F1?
I do follow the F1, yeah.
Go on, give us your thoughts on it as a whole then.
Well, I didn't get up for Las Vegas because it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that Max was
And
going
he
to win
calls
it.
himself a fan, does he?
Well,
Calls himself a fan, he don't get up.
What's this slander?
After
Just
Brazil, it was a foregone conclusion, really, wasn't it?
Oh,
It was, like you said, it was arguably done before then.
Excellent drive.
One of the best we've ever seen, I think.
Brazil was ridiculous. I think Brazil was just a reminder to everybody at how good Max Verstappen actually is.
Yeah. You think you've forgotten, have you? He pulls off that.
Well,
17th.
exactly.
In
Shades of Hamilton, innit?
Ooh, shades of Hamilton.
What, Brazil?
Oh, yeah, from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Max was excellent in that race. In the wet as well. It was wetter than qualifying, and the red flag qualifying kept him going. And he was just... He's done it all the time, though, in the wet. He's excellent in the wet. He just finds grip where there isn't any. Should we look at the Constructors then? Red Bull are third after being first for the majority of the year. McLaren lead it with Ferrari chasing. Do you think it'll stay like that? Do you think Ferrari have a chance? I don't think Red Bull have a chance, but I am going to ask, do you think Red Bull have a chance?
Perhaps so. I mean, it's more a testament to Max again at how the fact that they're just over 40 points off of McLaren at the top. And considering the fact that Sergio Perez has been absolutely nowhere all year. And
over the last 5 races, they've scored 109 points. Max Verstappen scored 100 in that.
Exactly. And, that's just exactly my point. Verstappen has very much been the only man keeping Red Bull in that fight, despite their own internal issues and one of their drivers just not being up to scratch. But I'd be if I was McLaren, I'd be extremely disappointed if we lost this championship now, because as much as I don't think they expected to be in the fight going into this year, I think they very much got a rude awakening that, oh wow, we've actually got a car that can compete for the first time in like 12 years. If Ferrari do win the championship, that's a real embarrassment, because Ferrari have not been in the equation at all year. They've just been very quietly picking up them results.
Yeah, to be fair to Ferrari, they've been the most consistent team. Is that fair, Corey?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's about how Lando bounces back. Now that the championship's gone, can he sort of pick himself up again, forget about that and move on and just do as well as he can for McLaren? I think, like you said, it's a testament to Verstappen. Verstappen's success is Red Bull's success this season. I think the gap between ability in Lando and Oscar is significantly less than Max to Perez.
I mean, I was just going to say on that, if I was Lando Norris right now, I would be the most concerned about Piastri, because you look at how he's performed in just 2 years, he's nearly catching up Norris's performances now, and he's been in the sport for 7 years. So it's a real question of, not 7 years, 5 years, I believe. It's more a question now of
5 years.
Next season. If I was Lando Norris, I'd be more focused on trying to keep that number 1 seat, if anything, because Piastri's coming for it very quickly, and it's quite nerve-wracking, to be honest.
Should we look ahead to next year? You've got 7 cars, I think, are nailed on to fight for wins in the Drivers' Championship. I think if Red Bull change Perez, you've potentially got 8. Do you think Max retains it next year and does 5 in a row, to be the second driver ever to do 5 in a row? Or do you reckon Lewis in Ferrari, that Ferrari's looking really good? Do you reckon it's number 8? Or do you think we have someone new? Or someone who is not even thought of? And Aston Martin with Adrian Newey have a really big development, or something mental happens?
I think it's probably Max's again, to be honest. I think, again, it depends on how Norris bounces back, but I think Verstappen will probably take it.
Yeah. Josh?
I don't. I'm going to sit on the other side of the fence. I think this is it now. I might make an argument to say Verstappen might never win a championship again. Because we were in the same position 10 years ago, really, when Vettel won his 4th world title. We were like, oh, there's no way he's going to lose this again. He's going to be a 5-time world champion. And then just like that, Mercedes absolutely explode, and Lewis Hamilton now wins his 2nd world championship. So I think in a case like this, where you got McLaren and Ferrari were so close, and have some brilliant drivers, Lewis Hamilton coming into Ferrari, Piastri and Norris are on form, Leclerc's always been there. And then, Mercedes will still be in the fight. George Russell, again, in my opinion, the most underrated this year. I can't realistically see Verstappen losing this World Championship unless all the other drivers just severely bottle it. I just can't. It has to be the end now.
Is it? Yeah, but on the opposite to that, he's not had the fastest car this year.
No.
He did for the first, should we say, 7 races. And after that, it's not. At some points, he's been the 4th fastest car. I think it's fair to say he's been the 3rd fastest car for the majority of the year, and he's still won the championship. I know the majority of the donkey work was done in the first 7 races, but is that not a sign that he can still win a world championship if you put him in a bit of a dinger?
Oh, definitely. But again, I'd say this with Vettel. I think he in 2014 he had a bit of a rough year, but
he was outscored by Daniel Ricciardo.
Yes, but he was still at a very high quality, and so was Ricciardo. I mean, he was looking like a championship contender for a little bit, like the only man who could stop Rosberg and Hamilton. But I just think that with the way that Red Bull are going now, especially we're considering Adrian Newey is leaving, he's joining Aston Martin, that is a massive change to the whole system, and they've been in disarray all season with, the upper half of the team like Christian Horner and Helmut Marko. So I just can't see it really being a Red Bull year in 2025.
Go on then. I'll ask for another prediction. You're good at these. Who do you think wins it then?
I'm going to say I actually think Ferrari will do it. I really do.
Ferrari win them both.
I can't see maybe McLaren, but I just think McLaren's going to crack under the pressure potentially again. I think they might win it this year, but still Norris won't be looking very confident. There'll be a lot of internal battles within that team between Norris and Piastri, I predict. But I think that Ferrari are in a really good position right now. They've been quietly working this year. They're bringing in Hamilton. I have no idea how he's going to perform, but I think he's still got the quality. Leclerc is like championship material right now, and they're led by Fred Vasseur, who is
he's
fantastic.
Really streamlined the team. It's been really impressive.
Look at how many personnel he's been pinching from not just Red Bull but McLaren and Mercedes. All of them are coming to Ferrari, like joining together. We nearly had Adrian Newey go in there as well.
Well, you don't need to be an expert to understand that the first year of the new regs, 2022, Ferrari had the best car, and then they just sort of went and self-destructed. Some of the strategy choices, inconsistent inconsistency by drivers and a lot of crashes, and Max came from quite a big deficit to win his second championship then.
Yeah, they suffered from success, which I think McLaren kind of has, but not to the same extent. But
Yeah.
just very quickly, sorry, a big one that I actually sent it to you on Instagram a few days ago.
Oh, yes, I've forgotten. Go
For 2026, we're going to be finally getting an 11th team again. It's going to be a 22-driver grid, as Cadillac and General Motors have agreed to join Formula One. It's been approved by the FIA.
Yes, they've been looking at this bid for about 2 years now. They've been building the car ready for 2026. They've had it in a wind tunnel. They're really prepared, and Andretti is the mastermind behind it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think all fans are still disappointed. I know I certainly am about Andretti not really getting that spot. I think maybe
Mario Andretti is running it. Just because it's not an Andretti name, he's still involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was more just the brand would have been fantastic, such an iconic race team, of course, from America, but it's still really exciting. I cannot wait to see General Motors have a crack at the engine game, really, considering Renault are dropping out and Mercedes are taking over Alpine for being their engine supplier. So it's a very promising prospect going into 2026, on top of Audi already taking over from Sauber as well. So there's a lot to look forward to for 2026, including the new regulations as well.
Can only be a good thing, Kai, Corey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's all needs to be said.
I'm definitely not as clued up on F1 as you two. I've realised sitting here, I just kind of wake up and watch a load of cars drive around the track and root for the British ones.
Well, what more could you want, really?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Absolutely not.
As long as you're not one of them who, no offence, but someone who just watches Drive to Survive. And
No.
We don't promote Drive to Survive on Shock Sports. But do you remember the racing team arrows? Yeah, we'll go from some arrows to another set of arrows. The darts. The Players' Championship finals was this weekend, and he finished 11-7 to Luke Humphries, and that's why he's the reigning champ. I think I watched the majority of the games of the weekend. It was a good quality, really good quality. Littler Humphries in the final, which won't be the final come the Worlds because they're in the same half of the draw. They'll meet in the semis if they do meet. Did you watch the game, lads?
I didn't watch this weekend's, but I am big into the darts.
Right, well, I'll ask this then. Are you ready for the World Champs?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. December 15th it starts. It's a Sunday. Big day for sport, and Luke Humphries defends his title that night. I'll ask you for a prediction. Who do you think is going to win it?
You'd be tough to bet against Littler at the minute.
But Humphries
is just consistently quality. He just works away in the background.
Humphries hasn't had his flowers.
Littler gets the headlines because he's so young.
Yeah, but you're on Littler then. You're back in.
I think I am. Yeah.
You're back in the young.
I could be
St. Helens
victim
lad.
to media propaganda here, but I'm gonna go with Luke.
Go on, Josh. Who are you back in?
Well, I first of all want to say that you could have painted a picture with the look on your face the second we brought darts up. I also did see Will in Peel Park as well, playing darts on his own as well, properly preparing for the World Championships.
Yeah, it's in my 41s and my 45s.
Maybe a future debut in the long term on top of journalism, but...
and then I'll wake up and realise, back to uni.
Back to intro to journalism lectures.
Yes, big up Shedzer. But go on. We'll get back to the topic. Go on, prediction.
Yeah. Sorry, I really went off target there, but
no, like that off target.
Yeah. No, I don't want to. I think Luke Littler's got good odds. It's got to be one of them, hasn't it? One of the Lukes, but I still don't want to take away from. I think Michael Smith has got a really good route overall. Maybe even
he's got a nice quarter of the draw. There's a load of tricky players. But there's no dominant player. I think that's the best way to put that quarter.
Stephen Bunting as well. May I throw in that name?
Pick up Stephen Bunting. Let's go Bunting mental.
He's absolutely exploded off of the bat of this year. He couldn't win a trophy for years. And then just over the course of 2024, we've just seen a completely different player. So potentially with this
He's excellent on social media as well. He's
hilarious.
Yeah.
He's so
if you don't
funny.
follow Stephen Bunting's TikTok, it's hilarious.
Of all the darts players you could follow, definitely Bunting.
Yes.
But you know what? That'd just be cinema if we saw Bunting win the World Championship. If Rob Cross can do it in his first year, after not even being in the equation a few years ago, then absolutely Bunting can do it. And I think he's got the pathway that can really make it a reality.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you very much, Corey. Debutante, have you found it?
I think it went all right.
Well, it went better than all right. You'll be coming back again, don't you worry.
Well, we'll take that.
Thanks for coming, Josh. Becoming a regular in that hot seat there.
Yeah, I think I should get a name on the seat. I think it's basically
Don't get too
mine
comfortable.
now.
Don't get too
Whoa.
comfortable. You won't be here next week. Perfect. Thank you all for listening. This has been the All Shock Sports Show. We've covered everything. Manchester United, Manchester City, England women, Salford, kind of, the F1 and the darts. We will be back next week at the same time. So you lot best be here. Thank you very much.